Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and thought, oh boy, I've really got to do something about this? If so, you're not alone. The health of our men, especially over 40, has been on a precipitous decline over the last few decades. And did you know that 45% of men who are over 40 are now considered obese? And that 44% are pre-diabetic? I mean, it's crazy, right? And you want to know what the real tragedy is? This is now becoming the new acceptable normal, which in my opinion is just not okay. Hi, my name is Tony Bevilacqua, founder of Athletic After 40 and creator of the Athletic Body Blueprint. And I want you to stick around because in this video, I'm going to show you how to start turning things around so you can start looking, feeling, and performing better as the years go by. Nowadays, you've probably noticed that there is a lack of quality, actionable advice out there for any guy who wants to legitimately live differently than the norm. Most well-intentioned guys, well, they just don't have a clear, concise path forward. And as you know, if you go looking, it's not hard to see that the world of health, fitness, and nutrition is kind of a mess. In fact, it's complete chaos. You're going to find an infinite amount of quick fix gimmicks, weight loss pills and potions, and even an array of overly complicated programs that are unsustainable and wind up sucking away excessive amounts of your time, your effort, and your energy. And with so much confusion in the marketplace, it's no wonder so many well-intentioned guys, they just can't seem to keep their health and fitness in check as they get older. But look, before we dig in, I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge you for being here, because by you being here, it tells me something about you. You refuse to settle for the norm. You don't want to just grow old gracefully. And despite trying to live a pretty healthy life, maybe you've been seeing some red flags show up in terms of your health, like that annoying layer of body fat accumulating around your midsection, or your doctor recommending medications that you do not want to spend the rest of your life relying on. And when it comes to your physical self, well, if you're like a lot of guys over 40, maybe you've noticed your body becoming stiffer, weaker, less muscular, slower, and maybe even more injury prone, leaving you less excited to enjoy all the fun, active things that make life so much more enjoyable. And look, I'm sure you already know it's important to exercise, eat healthy, and sleep good at night. I mean, no big secret there. And maybe you've even done a lot of research on these topics, and maybe you even know a lot. But what I've found is that information is really not the problem. The real problem is in the implementation. That's why I'm so excited to share the Athletic Body Blueprint with you, to give you some clarity on what the implementation needs to look like if you want to live a healthy, high-performance life for the rest of your life. Now, this blueprint is going to provide you with two things. Number one, a solid foundation, which I feel is the most important thing. Number two, the opportunity to build upon that foundation to the level of a true 1%er as a guy over 40. And you might be thinking, what the heck does it mean to be a 1%er? Well, becoming a 1%er is a measurable result that takes into consideration a few different things, all health related, that I'm going to share with you in this training. So stick around so you can see exactly what I mean. And just real quick, I feel like I owe you an explanation of who I am and why I may have the right solution for you. And to keep it simple, I'm the guy who has spent the last 25 years in the trenches developing and working with some of the healthiest, fittest, strongest, most powerful humans on the planet. I've developed and coached Team USA weightlifting athletes. I've coached at the Pan Am Games and even coached the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. I've developed CrossFit Games athletes, and I've even worked with more military special operators and D1 athletes than I can count. To say that I've been obsessed with health and human performance for a very long time would be an understatement. And every one of these successes had the Athletic Body Blueprint running in the background. And this blueprint, it didn't just show up out of nowhere. Rather, it emerged during a really dark time in my life. You see, back in my 20s, I had given up my college swimming career only to become an unhealthy, alcoholic, soon-to-be cancer patient. And it was that cancer diagnosis and the 3 years I spent battling it where all my focus turned to just one thing, getting my health back. And I did not just want to be cancer-free healthy, I wanted to be 1%er healthy for a lifetime. In other words, I wanted high fives from my doctors at every single visit. I wanted to be super fit, strong, powerful, and athletic. And I wanted to have an abundance of energy that would allow me to be at my very best every single freaking day. And as you can imagine, this wasn't easy, especially considering where I was starting from. But as you know, every worthwhile journey starts with a struggle, wouldn't you agree? And for me, the real struggle started when I declined chemotherapy and instead decided to take my health into my own hands. Problem was, I had no idea what I was doing or where I was even going to start. The only thing I did know was that I was fully committed and that I was all in to living the healthiest life that I possibly could. So what do you do when you're fully committed, all in, but unsure of where to even start? Well, for me, I went out and hired a bunch of health experts. And being the good student that I was, I implemented everything that they told me. And let me tell you, it was like a full-time job, complete chaos. But the good news was, it actually worked. I had lost 30 pounds, I was feeling great, I was building my fitness day by day, and my docs were telling me just to keep doing what I was doing. The bad news was, I had a health protocol that was out of this world and 100% unsustainable. So after getting the all clear for my cancer, I knew I needed to start trimming things away. And that's when I began this process of trimming and testing, determined to only keep the most important things that would support the commitment that I made to myself to live the rest of my life as healthfully as I could. That was more than 20 years ago. So I guess you could say it's been working really, really well. And remember that famous Einstein quote, make things simple, but not too simple. Well, when it comes to your health, you should simplify things, but only to the point where results remain exceptional. In other words, if you trim too much away, remember 8-minute abs? Well, you just don't get results. So it wasn't long before I started implementing this blueprint with others. And lo and behold, they began building their health and their performance to levels they were not even really expecting. And we were doing it all without the crazy shit that you see in the normal world of health and fitness. To me, a lot of that stuff is only geared towards one goal, aesthetics. And it's kind of like aesthetics at any cost. In other words, getting shredded, having six-pack abs, and packing on slabs of muscle are the promises of most programs. And it doesn't matter how unhealthy the process is. And for me, that's always been a massive problem. And here's the really crazy thing. It wasn't long into my coaching career before I started to realize that most guys who looked amazing were not even healthy. And in fact, many were not great performers either, despite looking like they should have been. Smoke and mirrors, they're everywhere. So I put my blinders on and I stayed focused on my health-first approach. And over time, it would become abundantly clear that what I was doing was consistently creating super healthy, great-looking, high-performance humans. So now, let's talk about what's possible for you by implementing the athletic body blueprint into your life. As you already know, and this goes for any guy over 40, your most valuable asset is your health. And the healthier you become, the less likely your body is going to want to hold on to excess body fat, the more energy you're going to have, and the better your body is going to perform. And ultimately, the more confidence you're going to have in your life. And I'm sure we can both agree, healthier is always better. And it's 100% possible to be your healthiest self no matter what your age. And this is exactly what the athletic body blueprint was designed to do best. So let me illustrate something for you by taking a look at this graph. This graph shows that you and all of us have a certain genetic potential for health indicated by the space under the curve. On the left, as the y-axis, we've got health. On the x-axis, we've got age. Something to keep in mind here is that 0% health is not alive. So this graph represents health potential from birth until death. Generally, a person has their highest potential in their mid to late 20s, and then at the end of life, things tend to drop off rather quickly. But the cool thing to note here is that you have a tremendous amount of potential even in your later years. And if you want to avoid all those normal pitfalls of aging, you should make it your mission to access as much of that space under the curve as possible. So for a person who does live a very healthy life, they may have a curve that looks something like this. And the reason for the gap between genetic potential and someone who is very healthy is because I believe it's impossible for anyone to hit their true genetic potential unless you're perfect. Are you perfect? Because I know I'm not perfect. Now, let's contrast that with a normal curve by today's standards. And I call this the alligator curve. It represents someone who has lived a mostly unhealthy life and who may have spent the last 10 to 20 years in a nursing home being cared for by others, and not really living, if you ask me. So I don't want you to be an alligator, and neither does your family, believe me. That's why, especially if you love life like I do, it's so important for you to create as much space under your curve as possible. And again, this is exactly what the athletic body blueprint does best. When implemented, it pushes you far away from that zero line so you can live a long, healthy, high-performance life in a body that you love. Imagine looking in the mirror and thinking, hell yeah. Or going out to do something active and not having to worry about how well your body's going to perform. So now you might be wondering, what does my curve look like and how can I avoid being that alligator? It's a great question. Here are 3 things you'll need to ask yourself. Number 1, what is my body fat? Number 2, what do my health markers look like that I get back from my doctor? And number 3, how physically capable am I? And if you felt yourself cringe after hearing any of those questions, well, it just means that you've got some work to do. And here's another way to think about this. The healthiest people on the planet, they have optimal body fat, they have optimal numbers from their doc, and they have significant physical capabilities. As for the best ways for you to achieve those things, well, it's probably no surprise to you that your nutrition, your fitness, and your sleep are at the foundation. And there's no hack or magic pill that will ever be more powerful than getting those 3 things dialed in. So now you're probably thinking, well, that's great, Tony, but what diet should I be on? What fitness program should I follow? And what can I do to sleep great at night? And if you look to Google or ChatGPT for answers where every smart, well-intentioned guy like yourself would go, well, you'll inevitably get blasted with information, and much of it contradictory. Obviously, this is another massive problem. It just creates confusion and often leads to a lifetime of bouncing from one thing to the next without ever achieving any long-term sustainable success. Frustrating and not fun, to say the least. So let's get back to the Athletic Body Blueprint. Let me ask you a question. Which of these 2 things do you think is most important when it comes to your nutrition, your fitness, and your sleep? Is it quality or is it quantity? And if you guessed quality, cheers to you because you be 100% correct. And here's why. When it comes to your nutrition, you can never eat too high quality of food, right? And high quality food is what has the greatest impact on the health of your body. When it comes to your fitness, it's the quality of your movements that is most important. For example, if you don't move well because of old injuries, inflexibilities, poor core strength, lack of coordination, and or balance, it's going to limit the capacity to build your strength and your conditioning, leaving you weak, injury prone, and inevitably placing a hard limit on the amount of space that you can create under your curve. As for sleep, well, quality wins again. Even if you get the right amount of sleep, you may still be missing out on some of the essential phases of sleep that are necessary for you to be at your very best. And lack of sleep quality will affect everything from your health markers to your cognitive functioning, to your energy levels, and even your mood. And this is precisely why the Athletic Body Blueprint is centered around quality as its foundation. Your secret sauce to a healthy, high-performance life is, first and foremost, quality first. Quality foods, quality movements, and quality sleep. So let's take a brief moment and swing back to the ingredients of a healthy person. And if you recall, number 1 is optimal body fat numbers. And it's important to note that I use optimal as opposed to low, because lower is not better. I don't care what Arnold Schwarzenegger has to say about it. There are far too many nutrition fitness programs out there today promising shredded physiques and 6-pack abs. And please know, when it comes to body fat, your healthiest self is likely not going to be shredded. Look, it's achievable, but always at a cost, and usually in the form of your health and sustainability. And if that's not what you're looking for, well, then you're definitely in the right place, because crash diets and pharmaceuticals are not a part of the Athletic Body Blueprint. So you might be wondering, well, then what should my body fat be? And the truth is, I don't know. In fact, nobody really knows. And if they tell you they do, there's a good chance they're lying. But most experts would agree that your healthiest body fat number is baked into your DNA. And in my experience, for guys over 40, a healthy body fat is somewhere between 10 and 18%. And I know kind of a big range, right? But when you follow the Athletic Body Blueprint for a while, your body fat will automatically come down and normalize at its healthiest level. And if you really think about it, your body does not want to carry excess fat. It's not really designed for that. Your body wants to be lean, fit, and healthy. So next on the list are the health markers that you get from your doctor. And much like body fat, less is not always better, just like more is not better either. There is only optimal. So what do we consider to be optimal? Again, impossible to say until you start implementing the Athletic Body Blueprint. And after spending time following the blueprint, you're going to find that your numbers, especially the ones that guys over 40 tend to struggle with the most, like blood pressure, HbA1c, and even testosterone, will move into a better than average range. This is the sign that more space is being created under your curve. And the best part is when you start seeing numbers that match young, healthy, fit guys. When I see those, I know you're doing something right. So now that you know what we are looking for in terms of body fat and health markers, let's talk about fitness. And I say fitness for last because it really is the best part. And I say that because it's where you can create the most amount of space under your curve. And this is because there is no limit to how fit you can actually become. Unlike body fat and health markers, which have a Goldilocks zone, fitness can be built upon and improved for decades You can always be a little bit stronger or have a little bit better endurance or be just a little bit faster. And each measurable step ahead is added space under your curve. And this is how you can essentially get healthier than most guys who are half your age. It's by building your fitness to levels that most guys will really never achieve. And all you need is a commitment to doing the work to get your body to move well, a barbell with some weights, a pull-up bar, and a can-do attitude. These tools, applied properly, have the potential to bring you to a level of a 1%er as a guy over 40. And as I had mentioned earlier, a 1%er is a measurable goal. And the status is achieved by hitting certain metrics based on the performance of your body. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's easy, and quite honestly, it shouldn't be, but fitness is much more fun when you have real benchmarks to chase on your journey, like in martial arts, hitting different levels or belts, giving you the reassurance that you are getting better and better as time goes on. No more boring workouts to just break a sweat or to burn calories. That's really not good enough. You should be building. So, to reiterate, your secret sauce to a healthy, high-performance life is first and foremost quality first. Quality foods, quality sleep, and quality movements. And your objectives are to optimize your body fat, optimize your health markers, and maximize your fitness. And this is specifically what the Athletic Body Blueprint will do for you. Without counting calories, tracking macros, relying on protein shakes and other supplements, or even spending hours and hours in a gym. Because in my 25 years of working in the trenches with some of the best athletes and coaches in the world, I've learned to focus on only the essentials that move the needle the most. Remember the quote from Bruce Lee? "I do not fear the man who practices 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times." In other words, do a few things really well to create the most impact on the health and performance of your body so that you don't have to waste your time and energy in the weeds overcomplicating everything. Imagine walking around in a body that looks like it's 20 years younger than what it says on your driver's license. Imagine being able to physically hang with the kiddos in all of their chosen activities. And imagine knowing that you're always going to be able to say yes to an active, adventurous life without worrying about silly injuries or running out of gas, no matter if you're 50 or if you're 80. This is what's possible with the Athletic Body Blueprint when your focus is on quality. So now that I've shared with you the Athletic Body Blueprint and how it has the power to change your life, you have a choice to make. You can, number one, take all of this info and do nothing. Or number two, you can take all this info and try to DIY your health and fitness journey on your own, which statistically has been proven to be largely ineffective for a myriad of reasons. Or number three, you can work with me and allow me to help you to transform your entire health journey using my Athletic Body Blueprint, where I'll customize and personalize everything just for you. This way, you can bypass all of the BS and instead fast track your results in the most efficient and effective way possible. And look, if you're someone who really appreciates great results without all the chaos, then now is the time to finally get yourself on the right track. Because as you know, the younger you are, the more opportunity you have to create significant amount of space under your curve, ultimately hedging yourself away from that dreaded zero line. And the zero line is there, acting as a reminder that your time on this planet is very limited. Kicking the can down the road, hoping that you'll be able to figure this all out on your own, well, it comes at a cost. And that cost, it increases every single day that you wait. And the cost is your health, the most important thing that you have. And I don't want you to lose it because I know what it's like when things go bad. And I also know how it affects not just you, but also the ones you love. So I want you to take the bull by the horns now because you have a responsibility to choose how you're going to live this one life that you've been given. And if you're still with me, I want you to know that we likely have more in common than what you may think. We both love life. We both value our health. We love our families, and we both want to squeeze life's lemon as much as possible for as long as possible. I might just have a little bit of a head start. And believe me, if I can do it, so can you. So it's important to start building today. And speed wins always. It's why the most successful people in the world, well, they seek out the who can help them rather than wasting their time trying to figure out the how. And look, you're likely here because you know that you can be better. And you want to be proactive with your health rather than reactive as you get older. And that by getting this right, it will be your ticket to having your best life ahead. You just need a simple to follow, sustainable way to get results and to actually keep them, which is exactly what the Athletic Body Blueprint will do for you. And if you'd like my help on your journey, I'd be absolutely delighted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set aside some time on my calendar over the next few days to speak to you personally about your current situation. And on this 30 to 40 minute video call, I'm going to spend some time learning about you, and then I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to start improving your nutrition, your sleep, and also your fitness based on where you are on your journey. And then, and only if it makes sense, I'm going to show you exactly what it would look like for us to work together. But before I share that link to my calendar, please understand that this blueprint works best if you are someone who already lives an active life and you want to keep living an active life, and you're willing to make some changes to the quality of the foods that you eat, and you've got the time and the energy to start building the performance of your body. And lastly, this call is for you if you are someone who appreciates collaboration, customization, and clarity on your path to winning. And if that sounds like you, I would love to meet you. So go ahead and schedule your free athletic body assessment call now by clicking the button below. And yes, this call is completely free and will be some of the best time that you'll spend on yourself. And the only reason this call is free is because I believe in building relationships first. It's the only way I've been able to help so many people over the course of my career. It's through communication, collaboration, and a common desire to be more and have more in this one life. So if that sounds like you, I want you to click on the button below and schedule your time with me now. And I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes of all time. You can live your life any way that you want, but you can only live it once. What are you going to do? How do you want to live?